Greetings, everybody. Greetings, everyone out there. We hope this message finds you well. We are now upon eclipse season, and during eclipse seasons, there are usually a huge amount of shakeups. What people are called to, or what are driven into an experience during eclipse season, and it can shake up a lot of lives. And so, my name is Jeremy. I am a psychic medium, and an intuitive, and a channeler, and a studier of esoteric wisdom and knowledge. And I wish to share some conceptual ideas with you that may help you to understand the behaviors of yourself or others as you go and we go through this eclipse season. So now, how can we break this down? How can I create potential to help others understand how our behaviors work, consciousness, experiences manifest, and what's the cause and effect of that? One of the things that have helped me so deeply, which I'm so grateful to come into alignment with and study and research, was what are known as sacred ray energies. Sacred rays are the attributes of divine love, wisdom, and power. It's kind of like the operating system of what generates an experience. This has to do with our conscious minds. This has to do with our subconscious minds. And this has to do with the divine. And when we understand sacred ray energy, we understand that every single experience is of God. It's like a prism. It's like a prism that breaks into multitudes of different colors and energies. Kind of like the Dark Side of the Moon album by Pink Floyd. And each one of those rays represents certain attributes to our human experience and our divine experiences, physical or non-physical. It's a manner and manifestation of consciousness and how it experiences itself, and through that self, how it experiences others. Through this field, through these attributes, these are initiations that we go through. And each one of these rays in a typical off season, we'll say it that way, when it's not eclipse season, it's like the free for the taking. Whatever would serve the soul the best in the experience within the divine plan, we can draw from, and they often interact with each other because we may need an ingredient from one of the different rays in order to serve or help or comfort another ray. They're all interconnected in this fashion. When we come into our life cycle, we typically have the embodiment and the imprint of one particular ray. This is why we see some souls that are absolutely maybe called to deep levels of spiritualism, such as becoming a priest or a monk or a pastor, or somebody that's like, let's say, becomes a carpenter or a builder or a creator in that fashion. There are others who are more artistic and also attributes of creativity. There are different people that are into sciences and become their background, their passion, their life cycle may be into developing and understanding science or philosophy. And these rays are just basically general blueprints and imprints that we come into our lives with. So they are typically the driving force. All of our experiences are serving a purpose. We always say that one must be in the experience in order to gain the benefits of the experience. And the unconscious mind is the easiest thing that is consciously influenced. Let's say the realm of possibility that when we're not conscious or aware, that we're being driven by other energies or entities, anyways, which way you want to look at it, that will generate an experience in order to gain the benefits of the experience. And this may be very painful. This may be very discomforting. This may lead to all sorts of things in our lives. This could lead to innumerable things: divorces, breakups, lack of communication skills, jails, institutions, death, all sorts of things that happens when the mind is unconscious. And these all are attributes of the sacred rays. So in this film, in this video, we will deep dive into some understanding and specifically with what is happening during an eclipse season in the way that Jeremy's spiritual team and guides have shown him. And it's really beautiful, and we hope you enjoy. So we first want to start by saying we understand that we have a mind and a body, and our mind is intelligent. Our mind and our mental body can absolutely be part of the observer that can channel divine wisdom, intuition, inner knowingness, guidance. The mental body, the mind, is kind of like the canvas in which the painting is painted. And yet it can be, again, if we're not conscious or aware, or have these attributes of the sacred rays, it can more than likely be a lesson that we're entering into. So the mind is intelligent. The mental body is its own canvas. Okay, yet you can be the painter in on your canvas. That's having more agency, more free will. That's having more autonomy and ability to choose, with a sensitivity to the choices, not only for your life, but in the lives of others. These are the attributes of the sacred rays. Now, that's the mind in the mind. And the mind we could see as one sphere. We can see the mind as one sphere, and we can see the body as another sphere. And in that, the body has intelligence. When we typically ground and we do our spiritual hygiene or in our body and doing breath work and doing those things and being in the body, we experience cohesion. We experience more balance, especially within the elements of earth, water, fire, and air. When we actively use the mind to get into the body, to observe, to adjust, right, to restructure and balance and soften, to dissolve any fear, any agitation, any emotion, and we get into the body and we feel and we start to know thyself more deeply between the mind and the body, we start to bring them both into more of a point of synergy. And this is the way that Spirit showed this to us, that this synergy and this balancing point, this synergy line, which is depicted here, is the balance point, and where it's cooperation and balance, where we're able to see how negativity and positivity play a role with each other and both benefit each other. This is seeing that through the lower level or the lower octave, which is a physical material octave, which is more of our human experience, and it's really based in duality. At a higher octave, we start to experience unification. Unification in the higher octave is literally like, imagine, if you will, a soul who's so peaceful, who is beyond terrible, who understands the beauty and the benefit and purpose in terribleness, and isn't at odds with it, is very comfortable. These individuals may not choose to speak, may become a spiritual bobblehead, maybe just sit back and observe, understanding it all. In higher densities of consciousness, this higher octave in our consciousness and our awareness, the unification is more present, and the understanding of duality and the lessons are there. So what we're experiencing here are higher attributes and integration of the sacred ray energy. Activation or initiation and connection to the higher mind or the higher heart. When one is in this unified plane, they may not have an opinion. The body and mind are starting to experiencing togetherness, cooperation. They become closer. And as they become closer to each other, when one is practicing mind into the body and doing their spiritual hygiene, they typically take these two bodies, start to become more unified, closer together. And that point in which the spirit of that and higher guidance and intuition is more prevalent in one's life. Now, that said, here's the thing about spirit. Spirit also, like archetypes, like deities, have negative and positive attributes to them. And it's neither good nor bad. It's simply an experience. And in the lower octave and of this, when we do not do the spiritual practice and hygiene of being in the mind and body, what happens is we typically start to pull apart in the mind and the body complexes. And as they do, if you will, imagine a dumbbell with weight, the further apart it is, let's say that has a flexibility and can bend and create a crescent, it's actually dropping itself from that awareness, which is more unified, in the synergy line or cooperation and balance line of awareness. So when we're not doing our spiritual practice in the mind into the body, we typically find the mind and body spirit complex separating further, becoming heavier and denser, and falling down and falling away from the synergy line or the unification line or that balance and cooperation line where it understands negative and positivity more deeply. It has a sensitivity to it. It's not in conflict. It's in balance. So this depiction, which Spirit showed Jeremy in meditation, is a great example of what and the importance of the mind and the body complexes being unified. Our daily practice of meditation, of breathing, of using the mind to observe the body soften and open, to let go, to release, to process, to feel, to know. As we access the intelligences of the body with the mind, that again starts to come closer. So imagine that the strength that these two bodies, the mind and the body, at the top example, are literally showing us that gravity won't pull down on us the further away that it is, in a more unified way, which brings the synergy line, right? The synergy and the cooperation and balance closer together, understanding duality, not being in conflict with it, having more balance. So we see this in this example, beautiful example. I want to say thank you to Spirit for this vision. In that, when we experience that, there's the line that runs through the middle is the spirit line. This is the axis. And like we said, all deities, all spiritual beings, all archetypes have a negative and a positive attribute to them. They're a spectrum. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. And in the lower realm, if we are in a lower octave or density of consciousness, if you will, and our systems, our mind, body, aren't experiencing cohesion, typically we can be driven by the negative aspect of our spiritualism or spiritual deities or ourselves, how we act, how we behave. In the higher octave, when we do experience these two, the mind and the body complexes coming together more, they're not so dense and heavy, and they start to come up. The closer they come up, the more toward that spiritual line that we experience. And when we do, because we're now ascending in our vibration and raising our frequency in our vibration by going through the negativity and the poopy poo and letting go of all the density, right? The mind and the body complexes start to become lighter in the density. And as they do, they're moving what? Upward toward a higher octave, where that unification starts to play out. So that is what this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful example and diagram shows us between what the synergy line is, where a mind and a body complex are closer together, are more unified, more structured in a healthy way and supported in a healthy way. And when they start to experience separation more deeply, and then our intelligence and our behaviors can get dicey, right? Because we're in a heavier density. We're in a lower density of consciousness. And that's where our opinions and our behaviors and our experiences, what we're pushed into or what we're called to experience, start to occur. This, my friends, is where the sacred rays kind of take over in this. So in this next part of this discussion for this eclipse season, to help us to understand what's happening with the sacred rays, what's happening with the densities in our bodies and our behaviors, whether or not we have this cohesion with the mind and the body or not, and how that brings us closer to the synergy line or the cooperation and balance line, the one that understands duality. If we're lacking that balance and that cohesion between mind and body, we'll see how the eclipse season really starts to shake us up. If you notice now in this example, this is another vision and metaphysical message from Spirit and Jeremy's team, which shows us the star, David. It's the six-pointed star, right? So we have this as above, so below. We have this divinity coming down and our humanity coming up in these spirals that occur. And this sacred geometry, this symbol of the star, this six-pointed star, speaks a lot. It shows us a lot. So typically, on the top portion of this is a non-eclipse season. This is absolutely the triangle that is pointing upward, shows all of our sacred ray, and which are attributes of love, wisdom, and power that occur. These are things and experiences that we may be called to or drawn to, or that we may be experiencing consciously or unconsciously. The sacred rays, these attributes, these experiences that are generated in order to learn, teach, learn through, are on the menu, we could say. So in an eclipse season, it's typically focused on one. The triangle pointing down will typically, during the eclipse season, the focus will be primarily on one ray, right? On one dominant ray, depending on how much an individual has integrated aspects of these sacred rays. So it can become very focused. When it's not eclipse season, guys, it's like anything and everything is on the menu. Anything and everything is on the menu. Let's look at this deeply. When it's not eclipse season, we could be getting into willpower, love, wisdom, intelligent activity, harmony through conflict. It could be science and concrete knowledge. It could be devotion and idealism. It could be order and ceremonial magic. It could be any one of the sacred rays are on the menu. We can ping pong, we can pinball, we can dance around, and we're working with one to the other, to assist and learn, experience, so on and so forth. And everything typically is on the menu for a soul's journey when it's not eclipse season. Eclipse season, however, is powerful. It can shake everything up on a moment's notice. One may be called to I'm going to go to school. I'm going to break up with my partner. I'm really starting to get into ruined stones. I'm getting into ceremonial magic, or I feel absolutely called to meditate every day, or whatever that is, the attribute, the experience from one particular dominant ray. The one particular dominant ray. These are times, eclipses are times for powerful shifts, and just huge magnetic forces are at play here. In the calling, in the inner calling, when one soul's journey, whether or not all of a sudden out of the blue you want to start studying cultic paganism or religion, or get into science, or read books on esoteric wisdom or knowledge, or start to understand geometry, or whatever that is, or start to read, to understand love and wisdom. It could be any one of these. Or you're going through something which is like willpower, and you're forced and you're agitated and you want to destroy the world. You're walking around with a hammer in your hand and everything is becoming a nail. And you're so agitated. This is an attribute. So let's slow this down and soften and go through what the sacred rays represent, how they show up in our lives. We want to break it down. We're just going to get into this and give you a small taste of what the rays look like. We'll say it this way: will or power. Will or power is the purpose of deity initiating impulse. Free will, agitation, frustration, boom, 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 aggressiveness, whatever that is. Or even if you have a beautiful, divine, creative, feminine desire to create something, there's always a negative and a positive aspect to all the rays, just like archetypes. In this context, will or power is the purpose of deity, and deity is simply a god or a goddess, an aspect of God, a human behavior, a human attribute, an ability, love, wisdom, and power. That's all a deity is referring to in this. An aspect of ourselves, the divine within, or our ability to create an experience. So will or power is the purpose of the deity or an experience, right? Initiating an impulse. It wants to generate an experience. The second, or another ray, we don't want to say second ray, but the second ray is love and wisdom. And this is the plan of the deity, or the plan in this context is referred to as the experience, right? Or maybe it's an experience, or maybe it's something that you chose to experience before you even had a body. Part of your blueprint, part of your template, something that was going to be profound and initiate something. The second one is love and wisdom, the plan of deity, the plan, the experience of God that you're experiencing. And that's an archetypal blueprint, guys. That's an archetypal blueprint. So this can shake out during eclipse season as something profound. Let's say, here we go, ching, ching, ding, 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 pay attention. Let's say that come eclipse season, one person is so sick of fighting and everything else, and they're really getting into love and light, and let's all love everything, be everything, just love everybody, everything is goodness, let's only talk about positivity. That would be an attribute, that would be a signal or an indicator that a person is into that, has a dominant ray energy of love and wisdom. All this love and light stuff is like literally the archetypal blueprint of that experience. What does it feel to be absolutely positive all the time? What does it feel to love negativity, but put it over there? We don't see it as an attribute. Let's just be everything. Be love, kind, generosity, forgiveness, beauty, positivity. That's an archetype experience. It's an archetype blueprint. And that is an embodiment that somebody is really experiencing a dominant force and energy of the love and wisdom blueprint. But here's the thing about sacred ray energy. Even though it says love and wisdom, there's always a learn, teach paradigm in order to get that. So everything that may feel super loving and generated in beauty and everything is love and light, not trying to bring this into controversy, but in order for it to gain wisdom, it has to have experiences. So it may be ignorant. It may be like the fool archetype. Again, every single thing has a negative and positive polarity in the lower densities of our experiences until we reach a higher octave and where it's unified and we understand it. Because love and wisdom and that ray, archetypal blueprint, is not simply one way. It may feel like it. Love is the answer. Peace and harmony is the answer. But there are still lessons there. You're just gaining a bit of that. You're generating experience at that point. Let's say you are very loving and very kind and speaking only positivity and setting all disruptions, all negativity over here, and you want to put that over there. Let's say that you're a mother and you're a mother and you're absolutely like somebody's hurting your child. If somebody hurts your child, you may rush to their defense. You may get physically violent. You may get verbally aggressive. In a moment, you got that. We have that mama bear energy and we want to defend, protect. And so now, what happened to the attribute of love and wisdom? It's never all one way. Again, now that would be literally the will or power, purpose of initiating an impulse. That's the will and the power ray. That's activated. And that's also drawing you into another ray, which is known as harmony through conflict. Demonstrating the beauty within the plan is what we would say harmony through conflict is. And the ray that represents harmony through conflict. After the violence, after the verbal aggression, after mom defends her child, there is a moment in which another ray may start to come in. And one could say, oh my goodness, this is absolutely beautiful. And there is beauty within the plan. You know, child and the mom talks to their child and says, honey, you don't ever have to be that aggressive. Bullies hurt people. Those are hurt people who hurt people. You have a teachable moment. And now you're experiencing the lessons and that through another ray, harmony through conflict. So another ray is, the third ray is intelligent, I guess we could say the third, intelligent activity. Creating the plan, creating the experience, the intelligence by which the plan, the experience is implemented. So now in that ray, intelligent activity, you're really getting deep into the love, wisdom, and power of cause and effect. It is literally like, whether or not you may know it or not, you're really getting into universal laws. You not only are, like in universal laws, let's just take a side ramp here. That could be like you, it's as above so below, it's all these things. It's the universal law of gestation. You're understanding cause and effect because you realize how it took some time to build, or what caused it, what the linear timeline looks like, what caused everything. You're really starting to understand things. Intelligent activity, creating the plan or the experience, intelligence by which the experience is implemented. So you're really going back, you're understanding law of gestation, you're starting to see the forest for the trees. That's what that sacred ray represents. It's having the intelligence that one says there isn't simply a baby here, that there was a baby, there was a consummation, there was a sexual interaction, there was a cause and effect, there was a lot of conversations, lots of points of attraction. You're understanding everything about it. That's what the intelligent activity ray helps us with. As generates an experience, creating the plan, intelligence by which the plan or the experiences is implemented. So that's so beautiful. Another ray is science and concrete knowledge. Science and concrete knowledge reveals through light the mysteries of life. So science and concrete knowledge, this particular ray I absolutely love. How I always describe this ray, the science and concrete knowledge, reveals through light the mysteries of life. Light is intelligence. Light is information. Let us say you're a scientist and you have concrete knowledge. You absolutely know that these particular energies will work and have a response within this environment. Now let's say that we go to space where there's no gravity, and we understand, and now what we thought we knew, concrete knowledge starts to change. We see a new possibility. We see a new possibility even through the physical material realm, that things change due to the environment. Science and concrete knowledge it's a very fluid ray. It is structured, but it's structured in a way that speaks to moments. And those moments it's very organic. Science and concrete knowledge is a ray that reveals through light the mysteries of life. It reveals the greater potentials of what we think we truly know or understand to be true. So again, when science discovered that all the atoms are actually oscillating and moving very fast, and that the floor beneath us is solid, and we say it's solid, and it's actually solid, and science discovered that it's not solid, that there are a bunch of innumerable atoms oscillating so fast, and it creates a density and a form that makes it appear to be solid. That was a discovery by individuals that came through science and concrete knowledge in that ray, which is love, wisdom, and power. Right? What great power. This is how the rays work. It gives you, it can generate power. You can create new experiences. You can celebrate life and the mysteries of life. There's more love there. There's more beauty there. There's more safety there. It's unbelievable. It's like, what can we do? Love, wisdom, and power. Or it could be abusive. We could use it to hurt and cause harm, or have an agenda. These rays are so important in our lives. They are everything, and why every doggone experience out there on this earth plane, everything that is an act of love or kindness or unity, and everything that causes separation, distortions, more aggression, more fighting, more helplessness, is a result of these rays. And these are typically coming up during the eclipse season in big and powerful ways. Devotion and idealism. This ray recognizes the glory of the divine. Okay, let's say during this eclipse season, one has suffered long, and they're all of a sudden, maybe they just want a respite. I can't live like this anymore. Let's say there's a recovering or somebody who's an addict or an alcoholic or going through a divorce, or your heart's broken and you just really want to get closer to God. You really want to be comforted by the divine. You really want to feel spirituality in everything that is you. And you're called and you're pushed during this eclipse season to get incredibly spiritual, to start maybe to meditate, maybe to go to church, maybe go to temple, maybe to get in nature, maybe to ground. And you are really, 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 really getting pushed into this beautiful ray, this ray of devotion and idealism is recognizes the glory of the divine. And it's such a beautiful ray to be experiencing. These and the thing about it is we find in our lives that usually when somebody goes through such a huge paradigm shift and somebody's like, okay, I'm really gonna, maybe I get religious, maybe I'm gonna get spiritual, maybe I'm gonna spend more time in nature and start walking in nature more, and all of a sudden there's a shift. It typically happens and will happen for a substantial period. This is what the eclipse season will do. This will be like, it'll be a month, it'll be 2 months, whatever that is. Eclipse seasons vary in length, but it's a great level of involvement. During these eclipses, we go back to the diagram of the Star of David, that it's really focused on one particular ray is the biggest part that we're working on during eclipse season. It's one of the rays that we're really looking to get into. And that could look great or it could look not so great. You might be in will and power and agitated, running around with a hammer and everything's a damn nail because you're initiating an impulse in that ray of will and power. And you're going to have a lot of that experience, a lot of cause and effect, a lot of consequences that may be unpleasant at first and then become pleasant as you start to move through that energy, as you start to disentangle and let go and are ready to learn from that experience. So, and the last one is order and ceremonial magic. This ray is incredible. Now it says that manifests the divine in form in accordance with the plan, in accordance with the experience. Or the ray of order and ceremonial magic, in my discovery, is both physical, even though it says in form in accordance with the plan, with the experience or the blueprint or one's soul's blueprint. What is it you're becoming? What is it you're remembering you're here for? What is it you're remembering and stepping into? It goes very deep. These rays are like archetypes as well. They have a lower, a negative or a positive polarity. They have different spectrums within them and all sorts of things. The order of ceremonial magic in this ray, even though it says manifest the divine in form in accordance with the plan, Jeremy's experience was that at one point I was absolutely like working with energies, working with physical materials, order and ceremonial magic. We were using crystals, we were using sage, we were using physical items and amulets and things like that in order to achieve some outcome through an experience. And then it started to shift. And then it became more cosmic, more non-physical, more unified. Because we want to go back to this now. As my consciousness changed, we see that diagram. We see that there's a cohesion with the mind and the body. And the synergy line, again, is the cooperation line and balance line, how things interact with each other, start to become expanded. So when I was first starting and experiencing order and ceremonial magic ray, my life was very into the physical, sacred items, feathers, prayer feathers, sage, burning things, doing purification ceremonies, cleansing myself through fire washing, sage, Palo Santo wood, so on, sweet grass, so on and so forth, working with physical material things. That was me developing and experiencing, according to the plan, certain things, generating experiences. And there were times where my mind and body was separated. And I wasn't really in my mind or my body. I was just doing things with sacred items. And that's okay too. And as my body and mind complexes were separated, they became denser and heavier. And when they became denser and heavier, here's the thing: I felt like smudging. I felt like I'm getting spiritually attacked. I felt like, oh my gosh, the devil's out to get me. And I have a spirit attachment. I have this. I have that. How many of you guys can relate to this? That mind and body spirit complex, again, we'll go back to this wonderful diagram, are closer, are further. They're in a heavier, denser state of beingness. They start to separate and they start to fall. And that synergy line, that line of balance, of cooperation, knows how to play nice with others, understands things, the balance line is we are below it. As our mind and body complexes experience further separation, aren't speaking to each other. I'm not meditating. I'm not doing spiritual hygiene. I'm not in my body. I'm not breathing. I'm not doing elemental cohesion. As those start to separate, they fall in density. And that brings us into a lower level of spirit, right? So we have the lower octave of spirit. Now that's where Jeremy starts saying, there are non-physical beings trying to get me. I need a sage. I need to do all this stuff. I need to do all this. And I'm working within the order of ceremony in that ray. And I start using physical items like fire washing in order to feel better, because that helps me generate an experience in which my mind and body can start to pull up. I actually feel better. I'm saging. I'm doing this. And that separation between mind and body start to raise, right? And feel better, closer to the synergy line and that balance and cooperation line. I feel better. I start to feel better, mind, body, and spirit. Now, however, the sacred rays are incredible because they're so diverse. If Jeremy's energy was and had experienced this, a state of mind and body both experiencing cohesion and closer to that synergy line, now my vibration is up, my awareness is up, the density of consciousness is up, and I went from the lower aspect of what I think spirit is, this lower body, spirit is this, it's the boogeyman, it's this, it's gods and goddesses, demons, it's this, that lower spirit, the lower octave of consciousness, the lower density starts to raise up because the mind and body are doing it. My energy systems are in a healthier state. I'm closer to the synergy line of balance and cooperation, guys. And now my consciousness starts to expand into a higher octave. I'm able to achieve more unification, past duality. And I started to say within the ray of order and ceremonial magic that no longer are physical items needed. I don't need a sage. I have an ability. I already am the sage. I already am God. I already am the crystals. It is me and I am it. And my density of consciousness in the spirit in which I'm be able to access and vibrate to and with, right, is at a higher octave. And we start saying, my goodness, this is even almost a limitation, and not unnecessary. When you're closer to the synergy line, in balance, and able to achieve a higher octave of awareness, consciousness, then the physical stuff doesn't become as necessary, right? Because now you're starting to see it from even more past duality, the higher octave. It understands the lessons of duality. It's experienced it. And it starts to see things as one, closer to one. At any rate, so let's recap. So it's eclipse season. And big shifts will occur in our lives. Some of us will be called to go into deep levels of sadhana or spiritual practice. Some of us will be called to be creative or write. Some of us will be called into science and concrete knowledge. Some of us may be called into philosophy. Some of us may be called into discomfort and fighting and agitation, because they're working with the ray of will and power and initiating, yes, absolutely initiating impulses. Some of us will be experiencing profound levels of deep healing, of harmony through conflict, of understanding that. Some of us may be really starting to see the forest for the trees during this eclipse season, and really starting and imbue intelligent activity and understanding the cause and effect and how everything played out, understanding the law of gestation and so on and so forth. There are so many things that we could be experiencing. The suggestion is to be kind and gentle to everybody. Whatever somebody's feeling called to do, honor it. If they want to be irritable and discontent, try to keep a distance. Love them from afar. If you can sense that or feel it or know that within them, keep your distance, man. Just send them love. If you're really called to experience love and light, or you're agitated by somebody's like, oh, everybody's love, everybody's light. No, honor that. Love that. Because everything, no matter what the experiences is of the individual and what we're either called to experience now or initially being pushed into for growth, for understanding, to learn, teach, learn, honor everybody, because you are no different than them. We are all going through major shifts. Eclipse season is powerful, and the sacred rays are not just a smorgasbord anymore. Again, it's not all for the taking, even though we can, but we're moving into a dominant one ray will typically be dominant to most all of us, unless, of course, you've integrated more of the rays. And then it could be anything. You may whatever. You have more agency, more free will. Your intuition is there. All of these experiences that are happening for us are not happening. They're happening for us, not to us. And so honor everybody out there. Honor everybody, whatever they're going through, whatever they feel called to do, and get into it. May be abrupt. It may be a huge shift. It may be like, what? Who is this person? Why are you doing that? Why are you leaving me? Oh, what are you doing? Or what's going on? Why did they change so drastically? How is this possible? Because eclipses are powerful times, which really kind of push us into that which we came to be in our lives. That which we came to be. Part of our template, part of the pre-design before we even took the body, entered the body. So I hope this video has helped you. Again, I say thank you to Spirit. Thank you to my spiritual team. Thank you to my guides and your guides for bringing us into alignment. Thank you for the beautiful metaphysical wisdom that we channeled and how to articulate these concepts. We hope this has helped you. I love you and yours. Love everyone you can today, especially yourselves. Walk with this eclipse. Let yourself feel your feelings and emotions. Whatever you feel called to do or you're being pushed into, you can start to look at what you're being pushed into. Maybe you're agitated or frustrated. Start to understand it. If the sacred rays resonate with you and you wish to see more, there are so many videos and teachings on sacred ray energy that may absolutely help you to understand the human condition, the experience of physical and non-physical stuff, all sorts of stuff. It is a great thing and a benefit to one who understands sacred rays. And this eclipse season is probably going to push a lot of people into that research, that understanding as well, because that's what the rays do. How cool is that? I love you. Have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are on the airplane. Thank you for watching. Please share this video if you feel like it'll help someone. Sending you all love. Namaste.